Welcome to Sipping on Excellence. This is Coach KJ, and I'm here with my man, my dude, the Doc.
And this is where we will be discussing the exceptional that is absolutely attainable. My friends, here's to living that extraordinary life.
Cheers.
All right. Y'all don't get a third all right today. Coach KJ, let's welcome these folk.
Lionel Hunt.
Kenneth Johnson.
Dr. Lionel Hunt.
Coach.
Not Mr.
Kenneth Johnson.
Not Mr. He earned his stripes.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
You know, people don't want to.
Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Cheers, man.
Sipping.
Yeah. Sipping on different shit today.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Sipping on Excellence, y'all. We love bringing you guys into our world, into our house, having these conversations, saying the quiet parts out loud, having the conversations that you should be having, but you're too scared to. So we're going to talk some shit today.
You don't teach other?
It's been an interesting week, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a real interesting couple of days. Hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, we have a new president, or at least we know who one is. That's
at least closer to it.
Closer to it. At least
Right.
at least we know. Hopefully, we'll be closer to whoever that's going to be. So hopefully, all y'all went out and voted.
So I can stop seeing all these damn ads.
Yeah, enough of that shit already.
That's the part that drives me crazy. Like, president, local. When is all of it going to be over?
Yeah,
You know?
right.
All of it.
You know, just done. But that being said, we appreciate y'all listening to us every week. Those of you who catch the live, it is a stone cold groove, my man.
It's picking up. It's picking up. It's picking up.
Y'all.
People, it is not the podcast.
It's the warm up
to the podcast.
Because what happens on Saturday feeds into what happens on Wednesday.
Correct.
And if y'all want the full picture, you got to listen to both.
Right.
And the beauty of it is you don't have, if you can't catch it live, it's always left up on SOE_podcast as well as mine at Lionel Hunt so you can go back and listen to it.
Right.
You know, and you'll have comments. That's where we ask you guys to send us comments about what you want to hear. You know, so those of you who tune in every week, great. It is very woman heavy. I say that because, as one woman said when she came with her, she tunes in on Saturdays to get her medicine.
Sure did.
Yeah. So
yeah. We get them all, but it's just women.
We come in hot every week
time
because there's no point in holding back. We say the quiet parts out loud.
And listen, we don't know everything, but we are always right.
And we give our opinions. You can take it. You can take it as you want.
All it is.
There's no, when it comes to relationships between people, there's no facts. It's all about perception, opinions, and how it fits into your own reality.
Yeah. And it's all food for thought.
Yeah.
It's food for thought.
So don't get mad about it. If it doesn't apply to you, keep it moving. But if it does, sit back, take a look in the mirror and be like, damn, let me check myself first.
Right. And if it doesn't apply to you and you have some questions about it, why don't you go ahead and extend that to the people that might need to hear it?
Just talk. Yeah. Start by just talking.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing. Y'all don't have to talk about anything specific. Just talk to people. You guys think these topics that we come up with are premeditated? Coach sat down just now. I was like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, why don't we just start talking and the title will come later? You know?
Yeah.
Then that's how conversations are supposed to go.
Supposed to.
You know, you sit down and you may have a question that you need answered, but then the conversations take on a life of their own depending on your willingness to open up. You know?
But that's the thing. People are not willing to open up.
And that's where the problems lie.
And they're stuck with their own thoughts.
And they won't even open up to the people closest to them.
No.
Which is the craziest part. Yeah, I get you don't want to open up to a stranger, but you won't even open up to the people closest to you.
Right.
That's the dumbest shit I mean.
It is.
And I'm guilty of it too, but at the end of the day too, if I got issues with you, I'm gonna tell you I got issues with you.
Right. There's no holding back. Not with you. Nah.
52's coming, and I just the desire to sugarcoat has gone.
Yeah.
It's left me.
And it's okay.
You know,
It's
if you can't handle it, that's not my problem. You know. Here's one thing I want to say. I just got to get it off my chest.
Okay.
And we've been talking about this a lot the last couple weeks. Ladies out there, men out there, don't let your past traumas, or better yet, don't use your past traumas as an excuse for your present bad behavior. That shit doesn't fly. You can't. There comes a point in your life when you're a grown-ass adult where you can't. I'm not going to allow your past to give you a pass for you being shitty today. You don't get. That's not excusable. Can I say I treat a woman like shit because my mother didn't love me if I wanted to? If that were the case? No.
That won't
Y'all
fly.
wouldn't excuse that shit.
Bro, that won't fly.
No.
I wouldn't let you do that.
No. Thank goodness.
And a good friend will not let you do that.
But people do that shit all the time.
Yeah,
they
do.
let how someone treated them in the past, or some shit that I got bullied in school, so now as a 70-year-old adult, I have bad behavior, and it's because of that.
Walk around
that was
angry.
50 years ago.
Right.
You know, come on. Enough of that shit already.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But people do that because they can't let go of shit. That's the problem. You know, it's just
It's their what is it? Their merit, their badge.
Yeah, it's
They're
it's their badge of courage.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not.
It'd be a badge of courage if you got past it. But you're still letting them wounds control you.
Right.
You know, you feel good because you bleed from it still every day. No.
Stop picking that wound.
No, leave it the fuck alone.
Right. It'll heal.
Yeah.
It's like the body. Think about how great the body is. You get cut.
It heals.
It heals.
If you leave it the fuck alone, it heals.
It heals. But if you keep picking
You give it the right medicine and leave it the fuck alone.
keep picking at it, it'll keep bleeding.
Right? And so every time you come at me and say, I'm this way because of what's happened in my past, I promise you, I'm going to look at you like, and this is going to sound shitty, am I supposed to care? I'm not going to excuse you treating me like shit because somebody else treated you like shit.
Right.
I'm not that person. And men and women alike do that bullshit. This isn't gender specific. This is people specific.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't want y'all coming at me saying he's downplaying, he's talking about women. No, I'm talking about all y'all.
Especially when you're in the 40s, 50s, you have a life.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, a life that you're supposed to be growing into and loving and developing relationships. And you carrying all that old bullshit into those relationships, wondering why you can't get back the worth of that relationship because of you keep shitting on it because of the shit in the past.
Yeah. And
that's old, man.
And that's one of the things that destroys relationships.
Absolutely.
And I think that coupled with, and one other thing that is probably the biggest destroyer of relationships, fucking ego. Mm-hmm. You know, if you really think about it, ego is one of those things that just,
of course, you know, always songs come to head. You know, Kanye, I got a big ego.
But it's true. It's absolutely true. I was, I'll tell you about that podcast with Nick Cannon, talking about why he divorced.
And talking about his ego and
Yeah, and said how, you know, he couldn't be number 2 to Mariah. Like, he didn't say it outright, but he said it outright. He's not built to be a beta when you're always used to being the alpha. And I'm going to tell you, no man really wants to be a beta. Every man wants to be the leader of the pack, wants to be the leader of his house, wants to be that guy, but will accept a secondary role if the woman is the super alpha. But here's what I think too. No matter how big a woman's ego is, no matter how super alpha she is, she still wants somebody to be able to lead her. At some point in time,
she still wants an alpha.
Yeah, at some point in time, every woman has the need or feels the need to be led. at some point in time.
I guarantee you, Stedman is that alpha to
Oprah.
He doesn't have to have her money.
No.
He has his own. He does his own thing.
And it's not even about the money.
No.
I'll tell you like this. If I met a woman and she was a billionaire, my ego would not be so fragile that I'm like, she makes more than me. Because I'm still going to know that I'm still the man of this house for whatever that means to her. And if she ever decides to throw the fact that she makes more money in my face, I nip that shit in the bud. Do it again and we're both done. You can leave. I'll take my money with me. Yeah, go ahead. I live just fine.
Right.
And so having boundaries, I think, is what checks people's ego. Mm-hmm. And people with overinflated egos are covering up insecurities. Mm-hmm. That's my thought process. And so I think we talked about this earlier. Ego comes into play when you try to date somebody in the same profession. I think looking at Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey,
entertainment.
They're both in entertainment. They both love the spotlight. Their business relies on the spotlight, and her star shines way brighter than his, and that was a problem.
Yeah. But you also had to factor in part of her star was her divorce to Mottola. Her contract, how mega it was, along with Mottola.
But it took a Mottola.
Yeah. Right.
I heard people say it would take somebody like a Tommy Mottola to be able to handle that ego.
Yes.
Hence the billionaire dude that I think she tried to sue because he called off the engagement and she's suing him for waste of her time. But whatever.
Think about how she was put on a pedestal from day one. It was the start. There was no bottom because she didn't see
society created that monster. Yeah. And it's not really a monster. She's just a diva.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
And she knows it.
Yeah.
She owns it. Yeah. That's the thing. That I appreciate and respect her.
She owns that diva, and if you don't like it, that's cool. But shit, it's Mariah. So that's
right.
Okay. Right. You get it.
I ain't mad at her.
Nah, do your thing. But in everyday people, that ego destroys relationships because men and women, it's impossible, in my mind, it's impossible to succeed if you and your girl are competing with each other. Mm-hmm. Whether you're competing for attention, whether you're competing on who's more successful. I was telling Coach this, earlier. I was like, there's zero chance that I could date another spine surgeon. And the reason why is because not that we would be in competition. I would not be in competition with her. She would feel the need, more than likely, to prove in a very male-dominated industry
to validate her.
To validate her success, her smarts, her capabilities. And I get why she would need to have that validated, but she doesn't need me validating that. Mm-hmm. But it will always be that battle. Because I've seen it amongst couples who do the same thing, and I'm like, oh, this is a problem. One's always going to think they're smarter than the other, or I'm going to do shit differently just because you do it this way.
Yeah. And a lot of times ego is like a fraud. It's a false front that is put on to show, look who I think I am, but you're really nowhere close to it. You're thinking you're a 10 when you're actually a 6 and and playing out because of the ego.
But here's something interesting, that conversation I had yesterday. A friend of mine who's a high-powered attorney, I asked her that question. I was like, could you date another attorney who
of that level, of that
caliber, that does the same exact type of law that you practice?
Of course.
She said 10 years ago, absolutely not. She's like, now? She's like, absolutely. She's like, I'd have zero problems taking basically taking a back seat and letting him shine. I was like, okay. She's like, when I was younger, my ego was like, nah, I'm the boss, blah, 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 blah. But she's like, now I would have no problem letting him take the lead. Even if I thought I was smarter, more capable, a better attorney, she's like, at home, he's still going to take the lead. We're not working together. Right. We're not at the job. This is our home. And I was like, that makes sense. But you're a rarity rather than the norm, because too many couples feel they're in competition with one another. And this is even people who aren't in the same field.
Absolutely.
Like, there's women I've dated, and this is some funny shit, who, because of what I do every day, they feel the need to try to prove to me how great they are at what they do, or how smart they are, and they're like, well, guess what I do? This is what I do. And I'm like, not that I don't care, but I don't care. You don't have to constantly prove to me that you deserve to be here.
I'm not dating or being with your worth at what you do. I'm being worth of who you are.
Yeah. But egos push that aside. Just like I tell dudes all the time. And it goes from the movie Hitch. Dude, she already chose you. Now it's your job to just not to fuck it up. Yeah. You know, she knows what you do every day. She knows that you aren't at her level financially or education-wise, but she's still dating you. So that should boost your ego 1,000%. But the fact that it bothers you that you're not, so you have to constantly try to prove to her that you can be the man, you make yourself look stupid. You know? And it's like, come on. This ego shit is going, we all have egos. We all like to, it's a very fragile thing, but it's a part of human society. Those people who succeed are the ones who know how to keep it in check.
Absolutely.
We got somebody running for fucking president who doesn't know how to keep it in check.
Right. And they both have egos.
Yes.
You cannot run for president and not have a huge ego.
You can't be successful in anything and not have a big ego.
Right.
Why are you good at what you do? Because you know you're good at what you do. Mm-hmm. And you can't know you're good at what you do if your ego doesn't tell you, yeah, you know what, I'm pretty damn good at this shit.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's but how you present it.
Right. And a very good ego, in check ego, will allow you to say, yeah, but I can learn more. I can do more. I can try more. You're never settled. You're always hustling and looking for that next barrier to tackle.
I mean, think about this. People always say men have very fragile egos. Everybody's ego is fragile, but who can't accept criticism? Who has a hard time accepting criticism?
I mean, I knew exactly where you're going with that, and yeah.
Ask a man to rate himself. I don't know a single man that'll say I'm a 10. Ask a woman to rate herself. She'll tell you she's perfect.
I don't know a single man that'll rate himself above an 8.
I was going to say 7.
Yeah.
You know? And the reason why is because most men feel like they can improve. Most women, even if they feel like they can improve, their ego won't allow them to say that they're not perfect the way they are. Out loud. They will tell themselves, damn, I don't like this about me, I don't like that about me, but let somebody ask them, oh, I'm perfect the way I am.
Like that one about the women, they're asking them, kept saying they were 10s. You know, like I'm a 9 or a 10. They're like, okay, well, what do you need to improve? Why need to lose weight? Well,
then you're not perfect.
Well, then you're not perfect. Why would you give yourself a 9 or a 10?
Well, I feel like I'm a 10. Really? That's not what I asked you. I asked you what you feel like.
Right.
You know, and that's just a simple little thing, you know, that shows us, you know, don't always say men have fragile egos. Say people have fragile egos. And the people with the most fragile egos are the ones that are the most insecure, that are the most unsure of themselves. And that ego is a front because they're trying to hide the bullshit.
Right.
You know, so I'm going to puff up my chest even more, hoping that you don't see the backpack of shit that's trying to hold me down. You know?
I mean, that's what I was getting at earlier. Yeah, exactly. It's just you're carrying so much shit, and it's like going to the gym, sweating all the day, but I'm gonna go out after, and I'm just gonna spray perfume on me. No, you stink.
The stink is still there. It's just Drakkar de Funk.
And it still smells.
Yeah. But it's you know, and I hate when people, God, surgeons have big egos. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. You're 100% right.
I would hope that you would.
And
To a degree, yes.
do you want a surgeon that you walk like the Geico commercial? So you confident it's going to work? Yeah, I think it'll work okay. I'll be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're not confident? And would you want a surgeon who is unsure of what he's about to do for you? Having a big ego doesn't make him a bad person. Having a big ego can exude confidence if it's an ego that's in check. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some people who are too confident and
they're cocky.
That part.
We talked about that. We had a whole podcast, cocky versus confidence.
Yeah, that part.
Huge.
You know, but it's funny how you look at the internet, you look at social media, and everybody talks about the male ego like it's in such a negative light. Mm-hmm. You know, nobody ever talks about the male ego in a positive light. And then you never hear people talking about the female ego, which
both exist
most times is way more fragile and bigger than the male ego.
Absolutely.
Come at me if you want, but it's the truth. You know? And so why do you think that is? Because society has painted this narrative that everything masculine is bad. Mm-hmm. That the male ego is bad. That a man with a big ego wants to put his thumbprint on a woman and hold her back. And
yeah. And we've talked about this, you know, outside of on this, had conversations talking about men are finally getting to the point where they're tired of it.
Yeah.
And they're owning their shit. They're like, yeah, this is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. And there's no canceling. And this is how I'm showing up. Ego or not, it is what it is.
And here's
tell you who I am.
And here's the comeback that people are that women are saying. Oh, men aren't pursuing. Men aren't putting up with our shit anymore. You know why? Oh, because they're just afraid that they're afraid of us now because we're getting our own things and we're showing that we don't need them. I'm gonna help y'all out, man. We're not afraid because you guys are making your own money and are smart and CEOs and all that now. We honestly don't want to deal with your shit when you throw it in our face. We're proud of you for being successful. We don't want to deal with your shit when you throw it in our face that I don't need you. So what are we doing? We used to try to convince you that you need us, and we used to try to convince you that we're going to be with you anyway. Now we're learning as men that we are very cool alone. I said this quote that just popped into my head to Kenny earlier. I was like, women seek validation and happiness from outside sources because they live in a state of anxiety and pressure and the need to be a certain way. And so they look outwardly for, you need to make me happy. I need validation from my friends, from my job, from men, from other women, from all these different sources to make me feel better about myself, to make me think I'm happy. Men look to keep outside sources from making them unhappy. Mm-hmm. When a man is by himself in his own world without any external influence, he is at peace and he's happy within. External things like his job, his woman, society, all of these things can bring unhappiness. And so we spend our entire life trying to fight off the unhappy where a lot of times women will spend their entire life trying to fight off the internal unhappy and hoping somebody else from the outside or something else from the outside will validate them so they can try to feel happy.
Which is why, especially in a relationship, I think as men, a lot of times, especially if you're married, you're trying to beat your woman to the punch to create the peace that you want, hoping that she'll create some level of peace until the next time. And you're just trying to consistently beat her to the punch. So that way she will be calm, you'll be calm. I'm good, she's good.
And a lot of times, men, what we do, at a certain point, we start to realize no matter what we do, she's never really completely happy. Yeah. And so, and it takes us till this age to start to understand that.
It takes a long time.
It takes a long time to start to understand that. And then one day we wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to do everything that makes me happy, and hopefully she will find happiness in that as well. Because I know trying to do everything to make her happy is a futile effort. Right. So one of us in this relationship needs to be happy. Both of us don't need to be unhappy. So if I'm happy, then hopefully you will find happiness in the things that make me happy as well. Because no matter what I do, I know that none of it really truly makes you happy. It just gives you glimpses of I'm okay for a little bit. And ladies, y'all can come at us. Tell me something different. These are just opinions that we see from the outside looking in.
Especially from married men. Yeah.
And this is what I've heard from married men.
Yeah.
At some point in their marriage, they decide, you know what? And y'all may call it a midlife crisis. Y'all may call it whatever you want. At some point in their marriage, they start to say, you know what? I need to be happy. Because right now we're both unhappy, and I can't make you happy because you're unhappy with yourself. So I'm going to do the things that make me happy. I'm going to find happiness within. And hopefully with that, you'll see what it's like to be happy and can kind of try to join in that joy as well.
Yeah, because what happens, especially early on, we're trying to chase that needle, and you keep moving the needle.
Yeah.
So after a while, we're like, well, the needle's within me. Let me just focus on my needle. And maybe you'll make that cycle around, come back around to it. If you don't, you don't. If you do, hey, look.
Or maybe you'll stop.
You see I'm good.
Right. Or maybe you'll stop looking to me to make you happy.
Right.
And then you'll realize, oh, once I'm happy with myself, I can be at the space where he isn't happy. But a lot of times too, and this is something that is kind of unique to women.
Okay.
Women don't like to see each other happy. And if they're unhappy, they don't like to see their man happy when they're not. Instead of saying he's happy, how do I find happiness and joy in that? Whereas a man, if you're happy, he's good. Mm-hmm. If he had a shitty day and comes home and you're happy, his shitty day goes away.
That goes away.
If you had a shitty day and you come home and your husband is just chilling, at peace and happy, that doesn't make you happy. You start finding reasons to disrupt that peace.
What are you so happy about?
Exactly. Why is that?
Combative.
Yeah, I'm not bashing women. I'm just saying these are things that we hear.
It's a combative nature that, for whatever reason, it's like we're supposed to be a team. Well,
and we're supposed to be where you are. You're not supposed to be where we are.
I thought we were supposed to elevate ourselves. We're not supposed to come down. I'm elevated. Why would you want to bring me down to you versus you trying to come up to me and elevate with me?
Instead of coming home saying, you know what, damn, you're happy. You must have had a good day. Tell me about your day. And he'll tell you things like, well, tell me what's going on with you. How can I make you feel better?
Yeah.
Don't come home and automatically start bitching and moaning about why didn't you take the garbage out? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? Now you're both unhappy.
What's funny is a lot of times is what I've learned to do, and what I started, like you said, you start becoming happy with yourself. She says something, if it's negative, whatever, about me or something I've done, I go, okay, cool. Did I change the vibe? No, I'm fine. You share with me how you felt. I'm fine. Okay.
Okay.
I don't feel
Like
that
I
way,
said.
but I moved on.
But you know why? Because we know how to take criticism on the chin, brush it off, and be like, all right,
Yeah.
that upsets you. Maybe I need to fix that.
Because let me tell you something. That proverbial dance that we have to go along with it, it gets old
Real old.
real fast. And you're like, oh, I'm tired of dancing. I'm tired of doing this step. I don't do the two-step anymore. I'm just going to sit my ass on the couch.
You know, I've had women in my life who try to draw me into their bullshit. And people do that. Men will try to do it. Women will try to do it. And I've learned that the best way is to not get sucked into that shit. Be like, I'm going to help you with your shit, but you're not going to draw me in. I'm not getting sucked into your bullshit by the stuff you're telling me or that you're trying to flip on me. You know, and I'm just not going to do it. And what's interesting when we talk about egos, I had this conversation with somebody the other night. And tell me if you've noticed this. I think this is where the what about comes in. You know what I mean? So, and I'll tell you what I mean by that.
What about but you?
So, and I'm only going to talk about it from a man's standpoint to women.
Right.
I was having a conversation and somebody sent me a meme and it was something about what a woman did, blah, blah, whatever. So I made a statement saying, yeah, that's that bullshit that she did, blah, 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 whatever. Well, how do you say that when men do it too? And so I picked up the phone. I was like, well, wait a minute. Why are you bringing men into this when this particular meme was about women? We're talking about women, so I made a statement about the women in that meme that you, she's like, well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but men do it too. I was like, why can't you just say, I agree with you, and here's why I agree. And then if you would have said at that point, well, men do this bullshit too, I'd have been like, they absolutely do, and men are shit for that too.
What do you think about when men do that?
Yeah, but it didn't go there. It didn't go to I agree, but it just became, well, men, and it's like the minute, and this is what I've learned, the minute a man says women and then anything after that, it's a trigger that, oh, they're about to generalize.
Yeah.
And they think men don't do it.
So they only hear certain things that you're saying.
There's so many times on our podcast when we're saying things and they hear us say things about some women.
Especially the lives.
Right. They hear us say things about women.
Yeah.
Then they completely tune out us criticizing men for the same thing. But because they heard women first, boom, that's the trigger. Let's bash, let's jump on these guys. I'm like, you didn't hear the whole thing because I just said men are at fault, but we can't talk about both at the same time. You talk about one and all the things that go with that. Then we will peel back the layers of the other, you know? Right. But that's one thing that it bruises the ego of the woman because I guess society and time and has made women feel like I got to push back when
push back when you're already on the pedestal.
Make that make sense.
You're already on the pedestal. You come with the pedestal.
And we're not knocking.
I mean, have your feet ever touched the ground?
Dude, and we're not think about it. And we're not knocking you off that pedestal.
No.
All we're saying is that if I say you send me a meme,
correct,
and I say, "Oh, that's that bullshit." And you're like, in your mind, you're like, I agree with him 100% on that. But because I'm a woman, I'm not going to point out that bullshit first without saying men do it too. And it's one of those things where, as she was trying to explain it to me, she was like, well, why wouldn't you try to, I'm just trying to give you perspective about the man too. I was like, but we weren't talking about men in that moment. We're having a singular conversation about women. Now, if you want to after that part is done, have a singular conversation about men, I'm going to tell you, yeah, men do some fucked up shit in regards to what we were just talking about.
Right.
But you immediately want to get off the conversation on women on the conversation about men because that's what's safer for you because it's way easier for you to criticize men than to criticize a fellow woman.
Right. You're already on the pedestal. why do you have to grandstand? I'm just saying. You're already on the pedestal. Why do you have to grandstand?
Yeah.
You have the floor. I'm asking you an opinion about this. That's it.
If you tell me, why do men always do X? My response isn't going to be, well, women do this too. My response is going to be,
no, it's not.
My response is going to be, I'm going to give you an answer as to, because you're asking me from a woman's point of view, right, something why about men. Right. So as a man, I'm going to give you an answer because you're not accusing me of anything.
Whether it's fucked up or not.
Right. You're not accusing me of anything. You're just asking me a why question. So I'm going to give you what I think the answer is. But the minute I say, well, why do women do this? Or why does a woman say this? You immediately, the response from a lot of women is, well, men do it too. And I'm like, well, that's not what I asked you. Okay, yes, men do it too, but you still didn't answer the question.
Yes.
I asked you, why does it happen from a female standpoint? And you can't even answer that question because you're so triggered by me saying women do it. So now you want to flip it back on men.
Your ego has to keep you ahead.
Right.
And it has to one up what we do.
And you think me asking a question puts you down. No, me asking a question is trying to get information. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to get information. I'm not putting you down. I'm not saying it's a negative. Why does that happen?
And why is your ego bruised from that?
Yeah. Why do women sleep on their backs? Well, men do it too. Well, that's not, give a fuck. Maybe you don't want to get your hair. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to mess your hair up. Okay, cool. I didn't say it was a negative. I just asked why it's being done. But you're already triggered. Yeah. You're already triggered as to why. The minute we say why, it's a trigger as to, oh, something negative's coming after that. They're going to make some misogynistic generalization. Really? Is that how you're taking everything that we say? Put your ego aside and just say, hey, let me maybe just listen and answer the question. Mm-hmm. You ask me a question, why do men do certain things? I'm going to be like, oh, because we're kind of stupid.
that's
we made answer. We had Coach and I were having a conversation about somebody earlier, and we're like, oh, that dude's just stupid.
Yeah.
We have no problem saying that.
Yeah.
But, and here's the other part that gets me. Women who have big egos, if there's a woman who, like on a post that people, when women agree with us on our podcast, on our lives, I've had women who will say, you know, it's so funny seeing all those pick-me's agree with you. Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. Simply because if you agree with something a man is saying, you now become a pick-me in the eyes of whoever. I didn't tell you that one?
No, you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that one.
I've heard that a few times. If we say something and on the live you're agreeing and they're like, oh, they're pick-me's because they just want to please you. I'm like, so you're calling my mom a pick-me? There's people out there who are
some of the people that we truly respect.
Well, they'll say when they disagree with us, and they'll say when they agree with us.
Absolutely.
So you're saying every time somebody agrees with me, or they agree with something Coach said, or they're like, go Coach, that they're pick-me's because they're trying to get his attention? Or maybe what we are saying applies to you, and it rubs you the wrong way that we pointed it out,
right?
And that other women agree with the character trait or flaw that you have.
Yeah, some people in their egos will not allow them to be anything but a contrarian. I have to go against everything you said, no matter how much it is true to them.
Yes.
I have to be a contrarian.
It's crazy. It's insane.
It's actually sad.
Dude, because you're silly.
Because what happens is you're missing out on so many other aspects: how to communicate, how to engage with other people. Why am I not able to get a relationship? Why am I not getting the raise at the job? Why am I? You know, there's so many things. There's so many components in their life that they're missing because being right and their ego is keeping them from everything.
Yeah. Or you know, I was talking to somebody today about why is it so hard to find good people to work, right? And what it boils down to And it's going to be a sad day if we get the wrong president. He starts trying to kick people out of this country. You don't want to work because your ego says this job is beneath you. So your ego is going to keep you broke because I can't do this job because I'm better than that. You don't have money for fucking lunch, but you won't go wash a car. You won't go cut grass. You won't sell oranges on the side of the freeway because it's beneath you. Motherfucker, broke should be beneath you. It's funny that I saw this meme today that being broke and being rich, both are a choice. You choose the path that it takes to succeed, and you choose the path that it takes to be broke. Nobody makes you either. Because they both occur by decisions you make.
Absolutely.
And if you're not eating today, it's not because somebody took it from you. You just don't want to do what it takes to eat. I've gone to bed on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I made choices in my life that said, I will never do that again.
Yeah.
But it's choices.
It's like what that reminds me of the one that I heard a long time ago. What's the difference between someone that makes 100,000 and a person that makes 1 million? A zero.
Yep.
1-0.
What are you willing to do to get there?
Yeah.
Can you put your ego aside
Yes.
and grind to get to where you need to be? Or are you too busy trying to keep this persona of who your ego wants you to be?
Right.
That you can't do what it takes to get there.
Think of all the guys that, let's talk about some guys.
Yeah.
Think of all the guys that live in an apartment with 3 other dudes, but have the car that they're renting. You know, they don't even have a bedroom in their apartment.
No, they're sleeping on the couch.
Right. Ego.
There's no other way to put it. Ego and stupidity.
Yeah.
You know, ego makes men do stupid shit. Ego makes women have relationship problems. And I say that because your ego can't fight with his ego. And when things are down or you're not in a good space with your dude, neither party fights fair. A man can hurt you physically with how he treats you. And you'll heal and you'll get better. A woman can destroy your world with what she says to you. And women will cut you deep. And all it takes is, that's why they say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. She gets mad enough at you, it's just the nature of it.
Oh, yeah, she go hard.
And she knows your ego is important to you, and they will try to tear that down.
And she knows exactly where to pinpoint.
Now, shitty dudes will try to tear down a woman's ego, but usually we're trying to do everything to preserve that, because we know if we give you the validation you need, it makes our life simpler.
And all we're trying to do is find a simple path.
That's all.
The
shortest distance to peace.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all. That's all we're doing. And if it means preserving your ego, then so be it.
Right.
But when it's constantly thrown in our face that you are better than us, even when we're not trying to tell you we're better than you, like we tell you how we think you should do something because we know more about that thing than you, that rubs people wrong as shit, dude. And I'm like, why don't you just accept the help? How about that? It's that simple. I'm not trying to mansplain. I'm not trying to do any of that shit. I'm just trying to give you the assistance that I see you need because you're fucking struggling.
Yeah. It reminds me one time, my wife and I were in the gym. She saw this guy. He was doing something, whatever. And she was like, is he doing? I was like, she said, why don't you I was like, no, I'm good. I see people doing things wrong in the gym. No, I'm good.
Because their egos can't handle you telling them how to do it right.
No. And you know me, I'm about as nice as they come. I would never tell them they're doing it wrong. I would say, I can show you a better way to get more out of that exercise. But that's still rubbing that ego.
Dude, there's times when I've been in surgery with people that aren't my brother. Because when I operate with my brother, there's no ego. If he's doing something like, dude, try this. You're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. Oh, shit, okay. With other people, I have to be careful on how I tell them. I have to get them to change what they're doing because telling them they're doing it wrong fucks with their ego. So I have to say, hey, I think I have a better angle. Let me try. Or I have to say, hey, try holding your hand like this because I can see that, yeah, this is a tough area. Even if it's very simple. This is to make it look like it's not them, it's the situation. But if I just say, hey, you're just doing this wrong, ego be like, I'm not, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. A highly successful person has a huge ego that's always in check. That's it. It's always in check. They know how to receive information. They know how to process information.
They know how
good
to,
or bad.
They know how to walk with a quiet confidence wrapped in humility. Like, I'm confident enough to know the shit I know. I'm humble enough to know that I don't know everything. And so if you move that way, if somebody comes to you with something that can improve your game, that can make you better at what you do or change how you see your relationship, if I come to you and say, hey, this is what would make us happier or make us better, and you don't take that advice, I'm not going to come to you again, probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to start distancing myself from you and that relationship, whether it's a friend relationship, a work relationship, or an intimate relationship. Mm-hmm. You don't listen to the things that I'm telling you that I think could help us in that interaction. I'm going to stop helping us in that interaction. Mm-hmm. And you'll quickly see your partner in whatever shape or form, man or woman, slowly that divide will grow. Because once men and women alike start to say, fuck it, it's done. It's a wrap. It's hard to get that back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Egos, man. That's just a tough one.
Just ego tripping.
And it can be helpful or it can be a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's
what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to fight you for your ego.
Get over yourself already.
Yeah.
Your shit stinks like everybody else. Yeah.
Whether it floats or sinks in the bottom of the toilet.
Just
flush.
It's just get over yourself. You ain't perfect. I'm not perfect. We all have our shit. You help me, I help you. We take this motherfucker over.
You want to be great? Check your ego. Check it at the door. Bottom line.
You don't have to get rid of it.
No.
Because ego is part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Just understand that it shouldn't control you.
I think that's why the term check your ego is saying you don't get rid of it. You just have to check it.
Yeah.
It's like when we talk about emotional intelligence versus emotional. You got to be emotional. Everybody has emotions.
Yeah.
But you got to be intelligent about how you're displaying them. Same with ego.
You don't have to be on that emotional roller coaster to say you have emotions. Emotional maturity is being able to do this, not this.
Because that's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, it's got to be. I'm exhausted looking at that shit.
Yeah, and if your ego is going through those ups and down high roads and lows and whatever,
because your ego is causing you to be angry when shit's not going your way. Or when everybody's feeding it, make you have that false sense of happiness. It's feeding your ego is like shooting a drug. As quickly as your ego gets boosted, that shit disappears when something doesn't go your way, and that's that roller coaster. Checking your ego means if somebody's boosting your ego, you don't let it go too high because you know you're not perfect. So you're just like, all right, it feels good, but I'm not going to overly say
You're appreciative.
Great. You're appreciative, correct. And when people try to bruise your ego, you're like, you know what? But I still love myself, so it's not going to it's not going to take a full dip.
Yeah.
Because your opinion of me doesn't destroy my ego.
Yeah.
I might take a little hit and be like, that stung a little bit, but I'm all right.
But you learn how to be appreciative of that as well.
Of that criticism.
Because it's going to feed you and help you grow.
Exactly.
Not everybody's going to be on your side. Not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to agree with you. And it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
But people can't get past that.
No.
Because when an ego is so huge, they think everybody should think they're great. And that's just not the case.
Oh, you just GFY.
If y'all want to know what that means, hit us up.
Oh, GFY. You know what it means.
Oh, shit. Anyway, man, this is a good topic.
Yeah.
This is a good one. God, hopefully we have the right president when this comes out. Y'all, see y'all on the other side. If we know by then.
Right. It might be the dark side.
Right? Anyway, thank you all for listening as always on Sipping on Excellence. Go check us out on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere. Coach and Doc, we're there. Coach, where they gonna find you?
I'm at Coach KJ Knows on Instagram and CoachKJ.com.
You're gonna find me at Leonel Hunt on IG. You'll find me at huntspine.com. Go check out thehuntfoundation.org. On IG, also check out at Hunt Foundation, doing some big things.
Podcast SOE.
.com is everything Coach and Doc, and SOE_podcast is the IG.
_podcast.
And dude, every week 6 a.m. it comes out on Wednesday. Subscribe, like it, share it with your friends. Come check us out on the live on Saturdays at 11 o'clock Eastern time. I'm sorry, Pacific time. If you guys Pacific. If you guys just want some laughs and you want to have some real interaction, it's a good time. And with that, man, we out.
Yo.